Hello, everybody, and welcome to this podcast that doesn't have a name yet. But we're sat here today with Sarah Sylvester, and Sarah and I have been in touch over the last month. Yeah, just more than a month, I would say. And Sarah got in touch with me because of one of my videos that I put out where I was having a bit of a hard time. And Sarah just came in beautifully and offered a session of homeopathy to me, which has been just unreal. The amount from that first conversation that we had, it was really incredible to see the change and the remembrance of a deeper understanding of energy within my own being, I guess. From very simple little things that she said, I was like, "Oh, this means that," and it went doop, 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 in my mind, sort of thing. So it's been really interesting to speak to Sarah, and we've been in touch over the last month and things, and I thought we should share this information. So hence why this podcast is here, really. And Sarah's over in Ireland, and she's going to give a little introduction as to what she does and who she is and where she come from and all that sort of thing. So, Sarah.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for doing this. This is great. I'd love to spread what I do further afield, so to speak. Yeah, I'm a homeopath for the last 20 years. And I've kind of found myself being pushed in a certain direction, which is kind of working with light workers, star seeds, anyone who's a healer, people working with the land, people who are just kind of working on their awareness rather than kind of more like general practice. Though I do work with families. But mainly it's kind of clearing ancestral stuff, and also doing a lot of embodiment work because, we're here on planet Earth right now to get jiggy with it, to do our thing. And we're all kind of a bit traumatized. So, and we've got a bit of baggage. So, my kind of perspective is let's get rid of that, let's ground ourselves and, embody what we came here to do. And it's not always simple because there's been so much stuff thrown at us to kind of pollute our minds and to so there's a few layers sometimes to get to, but it's a kind of, I see it as like a spiritual awareness stretching process. And I've done it for myself. I'm on that journey myself, so what I've learned along the way I now apply to other people. And yeah, and I saw you and I just could see something in you. I was like, I can help you. And that's why I sent out a message saying, "Do you want a bit of help?" And then we had that connection, and it was great because it did help you. And it's we made that through a water remedy as well, so you can make it yourself. And I remember you saying how empowering it was to make a water remedy, which we can talk about. But yeah, there's so much of a resurgence recently with the power of water and that everybody can use it and it's free, so we've got to kind of harness these things that we can use immediately to help ourselves, and water is one of them for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's come in big time for me recently as well. This sort of like restructuring, like as we restructure what's going on here and rebalance it all, we're also doing that in a microcosm as well. And that's the thing that I really go into is like this, what you learn from going within yourself, you then apply to the outside. And then that changes the outside as well for the better as well, because we've gone so far into the red. Now we're turning it back round. But the big thing that I'm, wanting to empower other people with is this self-empowerment idea. And like when you said
Yeah.
to me, it's just like, what do we do? You're doing the body test, and it's just like, what do we do here? Do we make this or do we buy this? And it's like, no, you have to make this yourself. I was like, make this myself. How can I do this? And literally drew a circle, triangle inside it, and then you write down whatever the remedy is within that. And then through your intention, it's like through your intention, you then sip water on it for 20 minutes, half an hour, doesn't matter what light it is. And then that infuses into the water through your quantum connection, basically. That's it. And then you drink that, and then that starts to work on you for the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks, isn't it? And I have noticed a
Yeah.
massive difference within myself. And, there'll be people on here maybe saying like, oh, well, it's all placebo. And it's like, but does that matter? It's like, that's the big thing I think here is like, even if it were, which I don't believe it is, it's more you putting your intention into something. And then from
Yeah.
that, you're able to create whatever remedy you want for your specific ailment or problem or whatever it is for you, for your kids, for anybody really. And then from that moment onwards, you're your own um, alchemist in essence, you know. And I think people
Definitely.
like you doing the work that you are, it's such a huge bridge for people right now because there seems to be what I'm noticing in the collective is this moving away from any external need or reliance on something so that we can not say within us, you know, each other and things, we're all one, but like there's that pulling away from the healthcare service and people are freaking out and going like, yeah, but what if this happens to me? What if I get this? What if that, you know, and all these questions start coming up, which keep people locked into that fear place. Now, if you were able to create remedies for yourself and see them work for yourself, then you no longer need that external reliance. Yeah, sure, if you break your leg or whatever it is, then that's there. But really, for things such as restoring your ancestral line, or bringing things into sort of a restructuring. Restructuring is the word. Then these things are great, and I think the work that you're doing is so important for people right now because I'm mentioning this to a lot of different people who I speak with as well, and they're going like, really? Wow, is that how? And then I show them, and it's that, isn't it? It's like, but make sure you know what you're doing, and you as a facilitator of this have a big part to play in where we're moving forward. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad you got the idea because really it's exactly that, like empowering yourself, being able to do it yourself. And I've read a load, like over the years, I've read loads of different self-help books and everything. And I was born into a bit of a new age kind of family because my parents were part of this group called the Circle of Inner Truth, which was basically channeled information from an old Taoist sage called Chung Fu. It's a bit kind of way out there in the 70s. Anyway,
Nice.
all that information when I was little came to me, and then actually later on I listened to all the tapes because I found them in my stepmother's kind of basement in America, and it was information that kind of built kind of new age thinking. And one of the students of that group was someone called Stuart Wilde, who's written loads of books, and all the big new age people in America used him as a point of reference. That they'll say, "Oh yeah, he was my teacher." So I feel like I was really lucky to get this information when I was little, and my dad and my mum taught me that, we are the living spirit. Everything is energy, and there are different dimensions, and all these different things. That was just normal to me when I was little. So then I kind of had to interface with the normal world, and I lived in London. It was, it was dysfunctional. It was the 1970s and 80s, and there's loads of drugs and parties and chaos and stuff. So I kind of lost the thread of my own. I had a kind of a feeling of connected to my spirit, but I lost that through the trauma of all that stuff going on, mainly through kind of survival issues. And then later on, I reconnected using homeopathy. And I just found that I could then connect back to myself in a really powerful way. I kind of managed to open my heart chakra again, managed to clear a lot of kind of sadness that I'd felt all my life. Suddenly, within a couple of weeks, that was gone. I could feel these shifts happening as I took this homeopathy. And I just was like, this is fucking brilliant. I love this. It's like so fast, and I'm
Mm.
becoming more myself again because that was the feeling, and I think we all have that. It's like you lose sense with who you are, and something's not quite right, and you're functioning
Mm.
in the world, but you're not really embodied. You're not really
Yeah.
kind of who you truly are, and if you are someone who feels on a deeper level that there's something missing, then it's probably that you're not in alignment, obviously, with your true self. So that's what I use the homeopathy for. And if people come to me, that's what I like to work in that area, And just going back to what you said about the placebo, it's really, there's so much we don't know about our own existences, and what we need. We all have these stories about ourselves, but is that what our spirit wants us to do? I don't know. It seems like there seems to be two different things going on there. So sometimes remedies come in, and I'm wondering, why is that remedy being indicated? And actually, because there's something that we can't see or understand, and actually, spirit is nudging us.
Mm.
And so I go, well, this is what they want you to take, so just take it and see what happens. So just the placebo thing, yes, but actually we're experimenting right now, whether that's with homeopathy or any other kind of healing modality, experimenting to kind of align ourselves as you said earlier, and and we're getting to a very critical point right now. So it's all pretty exciting. I'm happy to be
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah, me too. It is like I always say that, it's like the most fascinating time to be alive, isn't it, really? Because all of this remembrance of stuff it's unseen as well. That's the big part
Mm,
of it. It's like it's unseen, and it's like, can it be proven? Yeah, only by you. That's
yeah,
it really. I think in this time is like we're moving into this, we're moving out of logic where it's like we're just healing the physical symptoms of things, but the deeper level of it is all it's all energy, like you say. So that deeper level of energy requires us to have this um, openness, I guess, to these things. And then from that is hearing words and going, why is that coming into me? Where's that coming from? Because there is no random, isn't there? There is nothing that happens by coincidence. Even if anybody's watching this today, there'll be remembrances and light coding that will be like downloading into their system of that. Oh, yeah, hang on a minute, there's something there. And that little excitement and that curiosity, I think nowadays is that thing like a child where you just unquestioned, you go, oh, let's move towards that, and that's kind of
mm,
how it was. The first conversation that we had, I remember you were speaking about the essence that I had to make myself, and it was colostrum, wasn't it? Something, and then you said, oh, it's a very strong remedy. But in strong homeopathy, and correct me if I'm wrong, that means that it's diluted more and more and more. Is that right? Or it's like the
yeah,
essence of it.
yeah.
And then I instantly remembered from somewhere, it was like, oh, that's because it goes back through your lineage, isn't it? To that point, and it's got to reach that specific point where it clicks in almost. That's how I imagined it in my head. And I was like, right, yeah, that makes complete sense now. And just from that remembrance alone, it's then allowed more to flow in, if that makes sense, And it's like we're all looking for these little nuggets that we already know through the quantum and stuff. And
Mm,
then, yeah, I think that's why the work that you do is very important right now, because it is that empowerment for people. It's that remembrance that, no, you can do this. Because we've given our power away to so many external um, systems. And now we're starting to piece it all back together. And I think the fear that shows up within a lot of people is this: how are you not freaking out about this? What? But we're reliant on that for this, and we're reliant on that for this. And it's like, yeah, but the more and more we go through this journey, we realize that we all have that within ourselves, And it's kind of like, I think we're that bridge generation for people where if this resonates with you, it will resonate with you. But there's that bridge generation where we're starting to remember all of this stuff so that we can utilize this in a way that is sort of healthy, I guess, and be able to empower beings to be able to heal themselves, or just come back into alignment. That's the word. That's the thing I wrote down here is like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I've got this and I've got that and I'm this. And it's like, they're great points of reference, but really you're either in alignment or you're out of alignment in the very simplest terms. And that's it. When you're in alignment, you feel different. You feel that flow, don't you? And that comes back to
yeah,
you. And I think with the work that you and I are doing, we're really helping people remember that on many different levels. You know what I mean? And I love this collection of healers who are coming together now to help people remember that, because it's just like, hey, what we're doing now. I couldn't do that before, and now I can. It's like that's helped my psychic abilities, or that's helped me come online with this, that, and the other. And you get that, and I think that is you coming back online, and that's the childlike curiosity of
definitely.
life. I feel it within myself as well. It's like I'm sure you did too.
Well, I do it. I'm having these little wake up moments all the time. I mean, we're all in this together,
Yeah,
yeah. And even just recently, I took a remedy. What was it? Amethyst, homeopathic amethyst, and just to clear my etheric body. I'm just kind of experimenting and trying things out and seeing what happens. And within 2 days, I had two different massive things happen to me, which was two different land projects just kind of landed in my lap, and energy issues around land and clearing. And I was like, that was just like powerful. Like I took the remedy, and then 2 days, within 2 days, two massive things dropped in my lap, and I thought, well, it's not a coincidence. that I've been working
No.
on that level, because amethyst is all about kind of clearing, purification, connection to higher self, working on the etheric body. And taking it in very high potency. So it's very quantum. It goes, it's about depth. It kind of moves out from the body into the aura, back in time, forward in time. I mean, it's hard to describe all these things because it's kind of, it's not tangible. It's not in this 3D world. And I think that's why people, yeah, exactly. People are kind of like, what a load of rubbish. But actually, it's like once you kind of feel these shifts and you see your reality shift, you say, something's happening. I don't know what it is, but something is happening. And then trusting that, I think, becomes a process in itself because, if we are going to create something new, we have to let go of trusting this as our point of reference and trust something else, and that I think is like opening the door to allow that to come in. And so it's like an adventure. It's a bit of like uncertain in some ways. You sometimes think, am I going a bit crazy? Like people would say, but how do you know that? Just, well, because I do. And the more I trust it, the more information starts to flow. And the thing is, it's not just about me. That everybody has access to that. And I think that's the thing now, that everybody, if you start trusting your own points of reference and building on that, it becomes like a snowball effect. And the more you do it, the stronger it feels, and the more you can kind of build on your own sense of intuition. And for me, it's like I got sick of reading other people's words, even though a lot of people have wisdom. I was like, I just want to work it out myself, And I think everybody wants that because everybody has a different take on it slightly, don't you've got your own journey, I've got my own journey. And when you're picking up the pieces, going down the lane and picking up the little nuggets of gold, you kind of get excited. You go, whoa, this is great. Who would have thought that had happened, And you can't plan it, can you? The things that happen are really quite abstract. And, you suddenly go, how can this be happening? Like, how can I be having that vision right now? And it's real because it's not coming from your own mind. You could have never made it up, So it makes life a bit more exciting in many ways.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think that's what we're all alchemizing, isn't it? It's we're moving from that place of like fear, which is just ungrounded truth because we're just like, oh, I don't know. Or it's like, I don't know. To, oh, I don't know. That's literally what we're doing. It's like, but it'll be all right, And that's the process, isn't it? The parallel within this is just like, I'm trusting something that I can't see. There's a lot in that, and it's like we're all trusting in something that we can't see because as we look at the world, if you watch the news especially, you'll be like, oh, it's terrible, it's awful, this is the worst it's ever been. Da, 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 da. But from my perspective, it's just like, okay, yeah, stuff's moving, stuff is moving now, and it's like that's it. We're trusting in that unseen thing to take care of us, knowing that at just the right time something will come in and give us an answer that will help us become more grounded in truth, And I think the parallels here are seen within the homeopathy are able to go like, right, well, what happens that I'll just try it and see, and then you do see, I've seen, over however long. And I think the restructuring from you doing it as well is such an empowering place. Like, is there anything that you would say to, right, okay, actually, I've got a question because like I want to put something underneath my tinctures that I've got in there. Is there like a general, obviously it's different for everybody, and tell me if there's, any sort of like rules around this, but like, is there a general one that I could put? Like I was just thinking of drawing the thing and putting love in it and then putting that underneath my tincture bottles and just infusing that into it. But are there any like day-to-day ones, if anybody's sort of struggling? I had a friend the other day reach out and she's got a kid who's got eczema and things. I don't know why I'm going with this, but like, is there any sort of like remedies that are very good everyday ones that you could put into water that are safe and, that aren't going to disrupt you or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question because it comes down to the fact that we're all very individualized. I mean, the reason why one person has got eczema is different from the reason why someone else has got eczema, and that's the difficult thing. because it's usually about relationship with parents and the environment, and something's not kind of energetically aligned for the child. So it's a kind of sometimes it's a family situation or it's a school dynamic. So of course love is universal and it can do a lot. I kind of feel like the way that I work is like I have an idea perhaps, and I create an intention for that idea. Like you could say, I want this remedy to connect deeply to people, resonate deeply. You can kind of create a kind of a statement or a paragraph, whatever, and then you can choose remedies that align with that intention, and you can do that just by opening up your mind and just saying, can you let me know in the day what it is that I have to put underneath those remedies? And you can just wait to see if you kind of receive any information. And it's quite interesting. You ask these questions and you wait, something usually pops up. Like, someone might give you something, or suddenly you kind of lie in bed and you go, oh yeah, I'm going to use that sacred geometry. That works really well. So I think that's the kind of thing I'm like, you can work from your own perspective on what you've got around you, and you'll be kind of, if you ask the question and you have the intention, information will come to you. That's kind of how I work. Yeah. But love is, if have you looked at that? Going back, I don't know, it's been around for about 20 odd years. Masaru Emoto, the Japanese guy who, yeah. So he was like one of the forerunners. But there's a lot, there's many people who work with water and structured water, as you know, and one of the more recent ones is Veda Austin, and she's an artist and she works beautifully with water. Have you seen her stuff?
I can't remember if it was her who was on the podcast that I listened to the other day. But yeah, it was on the Know Thyself one. But she put a seed of she was doing the freezing stuff. I can't remember what's it, iceology.
Yes.
That's not it, but something
crystallography, I think. Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah, and she got petri dishes and then put them in the freezer, but put different like substrates or seeds or intention and put love into it and things, and then froze them and came out. And what she put like a seed of a sunflower onto one, and the water knew the potential of this seed, and then brought it out of the freezer, and it had drawn a sunflower, in the water structure itself from just the seed, the potential, it's like, and you can imprint into water, but just that knowing alone is incredible, because what are we? We're water.
Exactly.
If you wake up every morning, and since I've started speaking to you, I put my hand on my chest and I go like, I love you, Sam. I love you, Sam. You are good. You've always been good. And it's like that alone restructures all of your cells. I can feel it now, just me doing that, but
yeah.
Sorry, no, back to thingy. Yeah. I think it was her. I can't remember her name, but yeah, it was a very interesting podcast. Yeah, really interesting.
And there's so many people exploring these things, and we all have the ability to come up with our own version. It's the intention behind it, which is the most important thing. And you can even just pray over a remedies as well, or a batch, or you can say some like chant, some mantra. Like I have one remedy. One of my clients told me this ancient mantra that was really, which really kind of hit me. And so when I make that remedy, I say this mantra, and so you can mix it up. It sounds a bit kind of like slapdash, but actually, I think the universe wants us to play a little bit. Keep it light. Yeah, keep it light, keep it joyful, keep the intention really good. And then you can make your own version. As you said, it's like an alchemizing information, let's say, around you. Like what tools do you have around you? And what is your, what have you studied in your life? What are the things you're drawn to? You can take all those things and then kind of add that information to what you're kind of currently doing. So yeah, that's how I kind of feel it. And I think when we think creatively like that, then we can do anything. It's like there is no limitation. I always had this feeling as a child. It's like I can do anything. Like anything is possible. Anything can be healed. I mean, there is no. So if we kind of sit in that, it's like you know, there is no doom and gloom, because, you know, everything can be resolved or
Yeah,
transformed, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Another thing I
100%.
was going to say is that, just in reference to, you know, to the news and stuff, that's all just, you know, a story that they want us to think that creates reality. Of course, you know, don't get me wrong, there's people dying out there and it's horrific. But someone once told me, and I always think of this, you know, it's not just the earth, is it? You know, it's the whole cosmos. There's so much going on. You know, this all these kind of changes that we're experiencing, they're cosmological, and that's why I kind of connect quite a lot with astrology, because it takes me out of what's happening to me personally, and I go, actually, I'm just part of the collective. That energy is coming in right now and it's affecting me in a certain way. And I kind of try things out sometimes. I go, how am I feeling? I notice my own state of mind, and then I watch some, let's say, intuitive astrology, and she's saying exactly the same thing that I'm feeling. So I go, that's why I know that I'm kind of experiencing this collectively. And I think that's another way of kind of um, building confidence in your own kind of intuition and your own kind of feelings, because you realize, you know, if someone's mirroring it back to you through another process, you go, yeah, I wasn't crazy when I was thinking that. Actually, it's real, and we're all going through it together, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Because I made this link, as above, so below, isn't it? What's happening on Earth is a microcosm of what's happening in the cosmos, you know. And it's like, so whatever we're going through down here, then, you know, also within ourselves as well. There was a really interesting parallel that I made as well, because, like, you know, it's about the hybridization of humans basically, and, like, you know, we are all parts of everything within ourselves. We have to be, because we are the cosmos shrunk down into its smallest form. And, you know, we've got a name like Sam or whatever it is, but the little battles and the wars that go on within our minds are also then happening externally, you know. And you could say there's a part of the brain that's like the reptilian brain, you know, that is just there as a part of us, you know. And certain strands of DNA get activated at certain times to put us into more fear. Then we'll be in different angelic strains of DNA or whatever it is, and that will also be happening within ourselves as well. And this battle that's happening out there and on the earth and within us is all the same thing, you know. And the
Yeah.
parallel I made with that was, my friend was driving in the car with his dad, and his dad was heavily addicted and all sorts of things, and his reptilian DNA had overtaken so much. He went to sort of go and hit his son, and I remember, like, his eyes flickered reptilian, you know, and that's what it is. And he didn't react to it at all, and then it lost all of his power. And I'm like, wow, what a parallel to everything, you know. It's just like, when these oppressive forces are trying to do stuff to us and we no longer react to it, they lose all of their power. And his dad was a completely different person from that moment onwards. And I was like, hang on a minute, there's something. And it was all this information about this was coming in. And I'm like, yeah, that's in the world, that's in the cosmos. We just don't have to react anymore. And that's why we're all starting to regulate our nervous systems and bring ourselves back to this point of just
Yeah.
peace, so that nothing can
Yeah.
like knock us off that anymore, you know. And that's the journey of awakening, isn't it? There's also something else that somebody said this morning, and people say in the comments quite a lot. And, like, I love Earth, right? I absolutely love this place. I think it is heaven, you know,
It is.
if you
I
perceive
agree.
it as it is. Whereas a lot of people are going, no, it's terrible, it's awful, it's these things are happening and that. And, like, how do you stay so grounded, Sam, in that knowing? It's like, because I look around and I see the best parts in everybody, and it shot me in the foot at times, you know. It's like we can over empathize or whatever it is, but, like, there's this feeling of like I don't mind if I have to come back here. And I
Mm.
think a lot of people are going, this is my last lifetime. I'm never coming back here again. Sod this place. And I'm thinking, like, if you're in that place, then you are going to be coming back, because the whole journey of Earth is so that we can learn to love this place
Yeah.
unconditionally. Then
Yeah.
that's how we go out of it, because we're no longer attached. We no longer have an agenda about whether or not we do or don't come back. I'll be quite happy to come back here, because I think it's the most brilliant experience. Like I don't know why, but like dry stone walls, I want to come and look at more dry stone walls because I think they're just the most incredible things in the world, you know. And just people, I love people, and that's why I do the work that I do. But I don't know how I got to that, but it's that parallel of making that parallel of embodied unity. That unified thing is like you no longer have an agenda about what happens, you know, and you take your hands off the wheel as such, and then you start to get really curious, and you're able to create from a place of childlike wonder again. That I see as like the potential for most humans on Earth, but a lot of humans aren't in that right now, you know. But anyway, getting away from the point, but it's not. It's to the point. It's like,
Oh no, it's totally. I mean, it is heaven. I mean, it is
yeah.
heaven. I agree. Like when people say, "I want to go to Mars," I'm like, "Yeah, go. You can go." I like it here, and I think that's the challenge. Just like considering all that's going on, you know, can you still really tune into the beauty, the love, and you know, the wonderment of being here? I mean, any sort of kind of nature program gets you in that state, and you go, "Wow," you know. But you know, our experiences of how when we kind of change our inner world, how we view the world differently after maybe meditating or swimming in the sea, how everything changes colors. And, you know, it's psychedelic. It's really psychedelic. And it's an interactive psychedelic experience. And, you know, you don't need to take drugs because it's pretty bloody, you know, way out there as it is, you know.
Yeah, 100%. It is, and it's finding the beauty in whatever, and it always harks back to that. It's all about perception. How you view reality creates your reality. Not only that, it creates the reality for everybody else as well. If they
Yeah.
can look at you and they're going like, "Oh, that's awful, that is," and you're going, "Wow, do you see the beauty in that thing there?" No matter
Mm.
what's happening, you know, then you're able to pick apart and it goes, oh, yeah, I didn't see that before. I couldn't see it from that perspective before. But now you've pointed it out. Yeah, I do see that actually. Wow. And it's like, and then you start to see these parallels in every aspect of life. You know, no matter what's going on, you're at that place of peace. And I guess that's like being in Christ consciousness is you're viewing everything from a place of humility and B, a place of sort of like just pure awe of
Yeah.
everything, you know. And that's how we break these perceptions, these negative perceptions of things. And I think the homeopathy is a great way to be able to get us back into that aligned state where we are seeing clearly, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like not to say that bad things in the world won't happen. I do believe that things will appear to get worse before they get better on Earth
Yeah.
because we've been so fractured, because it's so um, backwards almost, you know, the way that we're perceiving world. But then the counter of that is it has to be that way so that we go, oh, it's awful. Oh, and then you break through that point almost, and then you go, oh, hang on a minute, it's all
Mm.
right. The same again, microcosm. You know, I had to go to hell in order to be in that place, and I never thought I was going to come back from that. I thought I was trapped there. I thought this is it. You know, psychosis was an incredibly profound initiation for me to be able to go to that place, come back here, and still find love, more love, in fact, you know, because as you go down, you dip down into here, the capacity opens and widens, you know, and it's like as you dip down into this deepest, darkest recess, and I do believe, could be wrong, but the place that I went to was so hopeless, and there was nothing good there at all, at all. It was terrifying. But they say in the Hermetic principles, as you feel deeply down here, that opens up your capacity to feel up here. And I'm like, wow, what a blessing. And if more people could realize that when they're in the darkest recesses, you know, it's like people who are addicted to opiates and on the street and things like that, the potential within these people to be able to know what that is, but then also to know what this is
Yeah.
is so amazing, you know. Yet the world pushes these people aside, but they're some of the most powerful people because they know they haven't just dribbled along like this. They've gone whoa down, you know. It's like because it
Mm.
doesn't matter how you get down there, you can always rise up here again.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a You've reminded me of a really powerful remedy, actually. And it's opium as a homeopathic remedy is
Mm.
really a great remedy for exactly what you've described. Um, it's for kind of deep trauma. It's for kind of being in a really dark place. It's when your kind of soul is fragmented. It's when it's so fucking shit that you actually have to, your spirit actually, energy leaves your kind of body because it can't cope with the hell that it's in. And, and you're kind of like, you're divided. Um, and it's funny because I took that, I hadn't taken that before. And it was funny, this was this Christmas, you just see when we're always working on ourselves and just kind of noticing little nuances and stuff. But I was walking down the garden and I suddenly could feel all this trauma bubbling up. And I realized, like, this has nothing to do with what's going on. It's Christmas Day. And, that maybe relates to your family, whatever. But I noticed that myself and I was like, hey, what the hell's that? I'm meant to be having a nice time here. And now I've noticed this feeling. So I went and I chose a remedy for myself, and it was opium. And I took the remedy, and this dark feeling of despair that I had just noticed. Because it's the thing about problems is kind of they build up over time, and you lose a sense of them. So when you create more space, stuff bubbles up, doesn't it? And you can see it
Yeah.
more clearly, and you suddenly go, shit. I thought I dealt with that, but it's still kind of there, floating around. And then and then because you've got space, you have more awareness of it. So I took the remedy opium and I suddenly was like, that was like the end of a whole load of remedies that I'd been taking over time. And then I was like, shit, that was really needed. And it was kind of like the nail in the fucking coffin of an old life. And I was like, goodbye, we're not
Mm.
going there again. Hooray, free from that shit. But that was a
Yeah.
whole long journey. And um, I was brought up with a lot of marijuana being smoked around me. I was stoned for my childhood, a lot of it. And the problem with taking drugs, especially like marijuana, is that it creates a lot of kind of cracks and holes in your aura. And that
Yeah.
allows entity attachment and that allows kind of energy in and out. So we can be very fractured by marijuana if we abuse it. And I don't think people realize, they think it's just like something kind of harmless, but it's no, it's really powerful. And I think if you smoke marijuana, I've noticed you have more problems with trauma. It's like you feel the trauma more deeply. It's got more of a hold on you, and that's why I think it took a while for me to get out of my own trauma because it was very related to this drug. And so yeah, so the opium really helped me to um, yeah, just kind of clean that up and rebalance that. And so yeah, as I said, after taking that, I was like feeling a bit better now.
Yeah. So I love it. It's so like how many remedies are there, or is there an unlimited amount?
Unlimited amount. Yeah, whatever that, all substances in the world can be turned into a remedy because they're
Mm.
all kind of living spirits and they have their own frequency. But the thing about homeopathy, the real art of it is, it's like, what do you need now? And that is the question. Like, that's the art in choosing remedies. I'm not saying everybody can learn to do it, but obviously it's quite hard sometimes to be objective about your own state. And when you're in a hole, like you just described, it's like you do need someone to throw you a kind of a rope to pull yourself out, don't you? Sometimes, and
Yeah.
I've got healers, I've got mentors, I've got people that help me, and and that's what you do, that's what I do. So ideally, it's throwing down that rope, people pull themselves out, and then they can kind of start living in a way that they're meant to, But as you said, the learning that you get from being down in that hole, if you kind of, when you're down there, you really look at it, look around and see what you got, that's the key, isn't it? And then you can start climbing out.
Yeah, 100%. It was an absolutely essential part of my journey, is what I realize now. And my soul knew what it was doing, before I went into that place. I won't go into the ins and outs of it. But at the time, I remember going into it and I was shaking. I was just like, good
Mm.
God, like, because my soul was like, oh shit, is going to be about a year's worth of like absolute hell for you, Sam. And it was like, but I knew that's what I needed to be able to heal my ancestral lineage. Basically, that was it. but it resists so much. Your energy goes, no, 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 no. And then it goes, oh, 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 right, okay. And that was the interesting part about it. And funnily enough, that's what I now help other people understand about their part and the journey as well. I don't know what they're going through. I don't tell them what to do, but I'm just going, it's okay. The pattern that I see forming is that you go into a place of real darkness that feels so uncomfortable, but then you get squeezed through a pinch point and then out into the expansion of what you are. And then when you're in that expansion, like you beautifully said, you're in a place where you're able to then, oh, okay, right, I can pick this piece up now. And it feels more controlled and measured, if that makes sense. Whereas before it's just like, if we're not listening, spirit will go like, oh, right, well, I'm going to slap you here, ready? With love, I'm going to slap you here. It's for your good, but might take a couple of years or, 2 months. It's up to you, how that happens. But that's the nice thing, is just recognizing when people are in that big contraction, there is then an expansion afterwards. Always, there's waveform. You look at the structure of the universe and it's exactly that. But could you give a run through of how you divinate different things? I know you say about, you get messages and things like this. And I guess that happens more when you go down the line a little bit, but like, what's your general practice for finding out remedies for people and things?
I mean, I think, part of studying to be a homeopath or a herbalist is you get to know, let's say, plants or remedies. You kind of understand them from taking them, and to kind of like, so let's say nettles, for instance, you could start taking nettles every day and kind of getting into the nettle vibe. And, obviously it's got a frequency, and you can take that as a herbal tincture, a tea. You can make that into a homeopathic remedy, and it's got its own energy field. It is alive, And so if you view everything like that, then everything becomes almost like a personality. So every remedy has a personality, and when you take them, you can feel that personality, and you can also read about that personality as well. And so when you might get drawn to it. Let's say you just don't know why you like collecting certain stones. Well, that stone has a frequency that means something to you. It connects with you. So you can then just say, well, oh, I love dry stone walls or whatever. And because stones are a frequency, certain stones are a frequency that you connect with. So then you can look into, what are most stone walls made out of? Oh, it's different in different places.
Limestone.
Yeah.
Limestone generally, but slate in the Lake District, different down Cornwall.
Yeah, so that limestone would have its own qualities, and those qualities might be something that resonate with you. And therefore, if you took it homeopathically, you might have a certain experience. And I'm not sure if limestone has been made into a homeopathic remedy. Probably has, but there would be a description of how stone works physically, and also mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because it's in its kind of concrete 3D form, it has physical attributes. But then when people make it into a remedy and take it, they do this thing called approving. They observe their feelings, their experiences, and like they might even meditate with it, and they kind of observe different aspects of this remedy. They started doing that in the 90s, and they called that the meditative provings. And before that, what they would do they would take a remedy and they'd give it to 50 people, and everybody would then write down their experiences, and then they would take all that information and turn it into like the story of that remedy. So when I'm choosing remedies, I'm aware of a lot of those things, and some remedies I know really well, some remedies I don't know so well. So if I'm talking to you and you're throwing your story at me, like telling me about different things, sometimes stuff jumps up and it kind of hits me energetically, and I start thinking about certain remedies. They start kind of coming in, and then I think, oh, it could be this, it could be that, and I might write it down. But usually what happens is that's just kind of the more surface level frequencies. So then I just at the end will say, after we've laid it all on the table, So what, how many remedies do you need? Oh, you might need one or two. And then I use a dowsing method. So dowsing using a pendulum, or using, like, um, you can do hands kinesiology, which is another way of dowsing or divination. And I have
It's
a list.
muscle testing, if anybody's wondering
Yeah,
about it. You might
yeah,
have seen David R. Hawkins do it on his partner, wasn't it? And he'd push down on her arm and he'd ask things like that and just test. And if the muscle resisted, then it was a strong yes,
yeah.
generally. And then if it went weak, then that would mean a no, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can do that in your hands. I use this kind of finger. I push down on this finger. And if it's a strong yes, if it's strong, then it's a yes. If it's weak, it's a no. But I try not to think because it's
Mm.
not really from the mind. I don't want my mind to come up with an answer because my mind is limited. By my experiences. So if I want to receive information from a kind of level of higher intelligence than myself, I kind of bypass that. So I kind of switch
Yeah.
that off and I just say, what's happening? And I just choose quite quickly from a list of remedies. Or I even you can do this if you want to play with it. You get a book, and you just kind of douse the book. Say, is there something in this book for me? And I put my hand on it and I ask yes or no. And I have like 20, 30 different types of books with different remedies in it. And I just kind of run my hands over them and I test it. And then I bring one out and I find the page by kind of breaking it down, going, is it between page 0 to 100? Yes.
Mm.
Is it between 0 to 50? Yes. Is it between, 20 to 30? Yes. And then I just count down the pages. Okay, it's page 21. Go to page 21. And this is one way of doing it. Some people have computer systems, but I think that's boring myself. I prefer doing it this way. Um,
Yeah.
and that's how suddenly I go, wow, I never would have thought that this remedy is the remedy that's needed. But then when I think about all the things that were said, I can see the kind of the way that it kind of fits all together, but it's at a kind
Mm.
of deeper subconscious level. And sometimes I'm aware of it, sometimes I'm not aware of it. And usually what happens is I trust it and then I go with it and then stuff healing occurs and you go, well, that was good, wasn't it? but it
Yeah.
but it makes me sound like I'm a bit of an airhead, but it's not. I try and trust the fact that this information is coming to me for your higher good, because that is my intention. So, and because I've walked that road many times, that's become stronger and stronger as a process. So, if people wanted to do this at home, let's say with their kids, you can just, or even yourself, you can get kind of a basic homeopathy book, and you can just start working with it, and using, you can say, which is the best out of these 20 remedies, which is the one that will help me the best now. Or you could get, let's say, a box from Helios, or one of the pharmacies, homeopathic
Yeah.
pharmacies, and literally you can just put your hand on one side of the box and go, is the remedy I need there? No. Is it the other side? Yes. And then you can go
Mm.
down the lines and you can check. And then you can just kind of break it down. And then you take out the remedy and just say it said nat mure. You go, oh, what's that about? And then you can research it and you go, oh, nat mure
Yeah.
is for being sad and disappointed and feeling blocked emotionally and being a pillar of salt where you hold everything in. And so you start, and then you can douse. How many times a day
Mm.
do I need to take this? And you'll say, once a day, twice a day, then you start kind of experimenting with
Mm.
the frequency of this live kind of this. It's actually alive, and then it's
Yeah.
a kind of like interaction between you and this being almost,
Yeah.
nettles are good for loads of things, but you start using them and they can be useful for a lot of different things, because you can see that in if you look in like herb law, it's amazing the list that each herb is good for. Well, they've got their own intelligence. So, and it's the same with the homeopathic remedies. So,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah.
I love the way you describe it with like everything's got a personality.
Mm.
And then you almost are like an aura, and then you embody that aura, isn't it? Almost, and it's just like, hey, look. I love that. Have you ever thought about creating your own book of remedies that isn't in the other remedies books?
um, well, I not well. Yeah, I mean, you can experiment with different things. Like they've made like remedies out of like music. They've made remedies out of lots of different things. I'm more kind of interested in remedies which you can put in a sequence that kind of give you an experience. So I'm working on things at the moment, like taking, let's say, over a period of 6 weeks to 3 months, taking a sequence of remedies that kind of speed up the awareness process. And, I'm kind of interested in things like that I could like give to people and they could just experiment with themselves. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe I have made my own remedies, my own combinations. And one of those that I've been using recently is something called azeztulite, which is part of a remedy I made for cleaning the blood of nanotech. And because that became, in the last year, everyone's been paranoid about that on many levels. And you think, how can I clean my blood? We've all been exposed to lots of different stuff. So I started looking into that homeopathically, and I made up a remedy called I Am Living that you take over kind of 6 weeks to kind of help clean the blood. But it also, I wanted a remedy which was like clean the blood on a kind of physical level, but then realigned us to kind of like an ascension process. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, I need a really high frequency crystal. That's what I need. This is the kind of way I was thinking about it. And then I was telling a friend of mine in Sweden who's a gorgeous woman and very evolved. And then 2 days later, she said, I was doing something, a book fell open. It was this crystal, and you just came into my head. So I'm telling you, this crystal. I said, do you know? I was just thinking, I really need this high, frequency crystal. So that was a remedy that I don't think has been used very often. I think maybe like a radionics machine, which is a remedy making machine. You can use it to make remedies just with frequencies. A friend of mine said that radionics people use that remedy, but I was like, oh, I don't think people have been using this remedy. Oh, it's a discovery. I was banging myself on the back. But basically, that if you look into what a zestulite is, it's amazing. It's kind of connected to the sun. It's a completely spiritual transformational remedy. It's about changing the nature of quartz on the planet. It's got all these different aspects, and we are crystals, we are silica, our bodies are all these different minerals, our teeth are crystals, so all these things affect our body on a kind of physical level, and aurically it has its effects. So yeah, just that answer to making new remedies. That's a new remedy that I've been playing with. And there's a great woman recently who's been making remedies out of sacred geometry. I mean, people are making up remedies all the time. And I think because time is changing, we need new things, don't we? I mean, just wanted to say that about the journey that you explained is that I think, the last 20, 30, 40 years, people have had a big cleanup job with their ancestral line, because it's only now that we know how to do it. We've got the intelligence and awareness how to do it. So our lives are quite complex because of that, because like we have to do a lot of work for previous generations. That's a heavy load, I think. And I've had to do a lot of work on my family lines, and yeah, like that's shifting a lot of it's like hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's deep ingrained, isn't it? Through
Yeah,
our cellular structure as well. That's it.
yeah.
And it's no no mean feat. It really is. Yeah, totally. And I think it had to be now so that we had the internet to be able to interconnect to one another and share, and not go like, I'm going fucking mental. Like, what's going on? Oh no, there's other people going mental too. Oh no, we're not mental. Like, that's it. It's like we're all right. And yeah, speaking about like something really resonated there with the quartz. There's something that keeps coming to me about the quartz veins within this earth that we live in, that they're sort of like the nerve firings for Gaia itself. And there's something there with quartz, and it makes sense because silica was the remedy that you gave to me for my daughter to help restructure where she's at now as well. And I'm seeing that even in the video call that we had the other night. I'm going to see her later on today as well, and I've got to give her a second dose of it. And she loves it, you know. She was like, well, we're making potion, and what you put it into light. Is it ready yet, Dad? And I'm like, no, not yet, not yet, you know. But it's amazing because there's that parallel there between, like, we are the earth, you know, we are everybody. It's like your friend, and the book drops out and she thought of you. Well, you know, anybody else is just like, oh, it's just random, you know, it's just coincidence, you know. Whereas people who understand the interconnectedness, the true unity of everything, they're the ones then going, no, I think I will reach out and I'll use my intuition with this. And then it's funny how people go like, I was just thinking of you. How was that? You know, it's like, because, well, if you were thinking of me, I was thinking of you, because there is no separation. And I think what we're doing collectively, this is quite a big one, is we're removing all of the separation, or all of the illusion of the separation that separates us within our own field, our fears, our doubts, our worries, our things we're ashamed of. We're clearing all that from our ancestral line so that we become open again, so that we are interconnected. Because, you know, the internet is a bridge for telepathy. You know, it's going, look, you can interconnect with one another from an external thing. Now you can do it and trust your intuition more in a quantum way that allows you to really just sit and hello, you know, and you can just speak to people. So I feel that's where we're going to now. But we're that bridge generation where we've come down here to clear all the mud out of the way so that then it's clear.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting with the because I know that you're doing a package for people, a 12-strand DNA package for people, where they can help initiate that system coming online within themselves, which I'm fascinated about. And to crystals as well. Talking about really high quality crystals, I watched, what's his name, Mills, somebody Mills. You sent me his name. You said, if you want to know about crystals, watch this guy. And I did. I watched 3 hours worth of his podcasts, and he's talking about like Vogel-shaped crystals, where the top of it is the shape of the pyramid, and the bottom is like a Nubian pyramid, or 52 degrees and 60 degrees, or something like that. Anyway, but these clear quartz crystals, and my God, the amount of information that was downloaded to me in that, I was like, oh, I remember about these things. These are like interdimensional. I don't know why, but I've got them like phones, like, hi, other dimension, you know, and you can connect to these other dimensions a lot easier when you have these specifically shaped crystals and things. So that was really fascinating. I just wanted to say thank you for that, because I'm going to watch the third part of it as well. But also within that, I'm going into loads of things here. I do apologize. This is my mind.
No, you're fine. Go.
And it was saying in the second one of it, it was going like, right, you know, we can put these crystals to clear them completely, which is a parallel to what we're doing. We're clearing ourselves completely so that we are just open again. But he says you put them into this machine, you know, smudging only does the aura of it. It doesn't actually clear all of the information that's stored within the crystal. But he said the best way that you can do it, you can put 4065 hertz through it as well. That helps. But the best way is through your intention, through you sitting with it and going, this crystal is now clear, you know. And so that's how powerful we are. We're all going, oh, rely on this, rely on that, rely on this. It's all within you. It's all within you, you know, all of this. You are all of it. And that's all we're remembering, you know. It's like, but sorry, I can see that you were wanting to say about that. The 12.
No, you're fine. Can I just say the funny thing about that was, well, firstly, with the crystal information, I just saw it. The word, you just popped in my head. That's why I sent it straight to you. And I was like, you need this information. That was a bit like the crystal in the book on the floor. So yeah, don't think too much. Just if you get a message, pass it on. The other thing was, you know, that I basically said with the 12-strand DNA, I've been thinking about it for a long time, just using homeopathy to activate that. And so I just said, I created a course for some of my clients, and I said, do you want to go on this adventure? Because, you know, I'm not saying that I know everything about it, but let's do it together and work out, you know, and we'll be higher self will kind of lead the way. So, but then within about 2 days of doing that and, you know, getting some clients to join in, I came across this information, which was like, DNA doesn't exist. And I had to kind of laugh to myself because I was like,
Brains don't
oh
exist.
shit,
Yeah.
yeah, I was like, maybe this is another construct that we've been told that we've all bought into. And I was just, which really made me
Yeah.
laugh because I kind of myself, we have to trust ourselves. And
Mm.
I'm doing this course and it's really interesting. And we're kind of every time we have a session, it's like, what? Tell us what to do, so then I get some information downloaded to me, and then we're doing it, and we're experimenting, we're trying it out.
Yeah.
And so in a way, it's like not using the information that we've got from the 3D world. It's actually just allowing new stuff to come in. And I think that's when it gets really exciting, because you might say, oh, well, it's a load of baloney, but it isn't, because actually what
Mm.
it's doing is it's changing our world. Do we want to carry on doing the same thing, same thing, same thing? I mean, if you look about the origins of, let's scientific understanding of DNA, I mean, it looks like kind of smear on a piece of paper. It doesn't even look like a double helix. It's questionable. So
Mm.
I kind of, and then of course, don't forget, once they kind of say this exists and it's real, then everybody believes it's real, and then a whole form of pharmaceutical kind of stuff is on the
Yeah.
back of that. So it's just kind of like being open to the fact that everything we've been told possibly isn't true, or maybe it was true and now it's changed. I don't know.
Yes. I think it's exactly that. It was true at one point, isn't it? But it's like Bruce Lipton, going into epigenetics and things, So many people have said to me, it's just in my family. And I'm like, you're creating that. You're
Yeah,
creating that through your belief. It's
yeah,
just in my family. It's there, it's like whatever it is, obesity or cancer or whatever it is. And I'm just like, no, that's a belief that you're believing in. So then you will create the outcome, and then you'll blame something external. Oh, this is awful and things like this. No, it's you. You're doing it. That's the empowerment, isn't it? And empowerment can be looked at from both ways. It's like, great, you're empowering yourself to stay in that place where you think you can't do anything about it, or you're going, oh no, hang on a minute, I can change everything, and that's it. I think
yeah,
that's why beings like you and I here to break that thing. And I love what you said about, like, no, DNA doesn't exist. Yeah, no, brains don't exist. We don't exist,
yeah,
but equally we do as well. It's that paradox of it. But yeah, and DNA, when you look at it and you cut through it, isn't it? And in the thingiest form, it's the sand on the disc plates, the vibrations
oh
of
yeah,
the sound on the disc plates, isn't it? And it's just like those different frequencies are there because everything is frequency, and that makes complete sense. If you cut it up into like sausages, you would see different frequencies at different parts of it. I guess I don't know. It's like, but I love what you're saying about, like, starting something and going, oh yeah, we're going to be looking into activating your 12-strand DNA, and then it's like, no, hang on a minute, DNA doesn't exist. And it's like, but that's the beauty of it. And that, I think, the scientific world nowadays, they don't have that. A few do, but they're so deep rooted into the books and what the books have told them and what this professor told. Stuff is changing so quickly at the moment, And if we still beholden to this way of being, it's like when I did the days on fruit. I had so many scientists reach out and say to me, no, that's not good. You'll do this to you and all the rest of it. I'm like, we don't know. You don't know. You're saying that because that's what you've studied, but I don't want to put a damper on it, but kind of all of that's irrelevant now because we're moving into this place where, sure, your body may be doing that, but this person's body over here will be activating into their crystalline structure. So what does that
yeah,
look like? Where's the books on that? Oh, I haven't heard of any. I haven't looked, but like I don't know. And that
yeah,
beauty of going, I don't know, allows more information to come through. If you think you know something, you don't. And that's why I
yeah,
love the openness of what you're saying. Like, I would do this course, definitely. I would have it because it's gonna, as you go along, you're gonna discover things and be open to stuff that you wouldn't have known unless you went investigating it. But then there's that
yeah,
beauty of that childlike, oh, all right, cool, we can let that go. What's this? And that's the way in which I would love. It's like Kyle C says, it's like if ever I was to go on stage, I would have no agenda. I would just go on stage and literally just start talking to people and start doing this, because you can't know. It's like, right, in this podcast, we're going to go at these points here, and we're just going to do this. It doesn't work like that anymore. We've got to be open. It's the best term for the divine that I found. Going like childlike wonder, isn't it? So it will evolve and grow and form as it will, but we can't know what this is because we're only here,
Exactly.
and that expanded out into everything,
Yeah.
or some shit, I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I mean, to Einstein says something about everything is imagination, and I really think that is true. I mean, and maybe that's not the exact quote, but like we can use our imagination to achieve, become anything. I mean, I think there does seem to be like a blueprint of ourselves, like a starting point, like, whether that's astrology or human design, we have been given certain qualities and
attributes.
yeah, and like for instance, I have the line of discovery in my human design, which makes me want to be on the road of discovery, very lightly put, but yeah, so that's something that excites me, and that's why I think in a certain way. And I mean, I'm sure you've thought this sometimes, like, why don't other people question things like, well, maybe they don't have that in their design, but they've got other qualities which
Are unique.
we're all so different. That's why I think with the dowsing, it's good to kind of tune into that and learn how to do it for yourself, because actually you feel so good when you've worked something out and you take it for yourself and it does something and you go, hey, that was really good. I tell you what, one remedy that anyone can take and is quite useful is sulfur is a good remedy to know about, sulfur 30C, because sulfur is a great way to detox the body. And so you can, people can take that, and there's so much kind of stuff being thrown at us. So you could try taking sulfur every day for a week and see how you feel. The thing about homeopathy, you don't want to overdo it, because if you take it when you don't actually need it, you can give yourself the symptoms. But to be honest, sulfur is a remedy that we could all do with taking. Another one is calc carb 30C, because one of the problems with radiation at the moment is that it affects our calcium metabolism, and so what happens is that we can find that we're kind of a bit discombobulated inside and a bit confused, because it's calcium is all about stacking and organization. Yeah, exactly. So when that goes awry, it's almost like inside you can't organize yourself, and then everything outside of you feels disorganized as well.
Definitely.
Exactly. So that's if you're kind of so those two remedies they're kind of what we call constitutional remedies, but you can actually just take that and see if it improves things, because I've tried those things out on myself, and I've noticed, especially with the calc carb, that I was feeling like really chaotic and like I've got to. It's like almost like I was trying to control everything externally, because inside I was like a mess. And then I took the remedy and I suddenly went, everything's okay. I feel like organized inside. Now everything's okay. So it's funny how we then kind of project this inner feeling that we have to outside of ourselves and try and kind of control the external world. That's why I think, going back to what you're saying,
that's doing that, isn't it? Look, that's doing that. It's like, no, it's me.
Exactly. So exactly, bring it always home to yourself, and that's that thing of ultimate responsibility. If you're being abused by someone else, well, you've allowed yourself to be in that situation for various reasons. I'm not blaming, you don't have to go into blame, but you go,
nobody's a victim of anything. That's it, isn't it? Because we're creating, maybe we don't understand it, and then the ego will go like, oh, it's this, it's that, it's that. As soon as you're pointing the finger, you're giving your power away to that thing, because that thing has to change in order for you to feel okay. Good luck, because once that thing starts to change, you're going to start pointing the finger at everything else. How do I know this? Because I spent 30 odd years being a victim of life, because I didn't understand it, and now I'm like, oh, bless you, you know what I mean? It's like, and there's still things I still go like, oh, bollocks, it's me, isn't it? In some way, it's like, but that's the accountability, that's where we're moving into. And all of this, I listened to a guy, he's brilliant, I always forget his name, but he's breaking down the narcissist empath dynamic. and saying like, the empath usually is the one pointing the finger going, oh, like you treated me like this and that. It's not the other thing. The other thing is just a mirror for you. But if we stay in that place, and it's like, not to say that people aren't nasty or whatever it is, but when the deeper level of it is, you realize, oh, they're just in pain in some way. They're fearful in some way. Expand that out to, the controlling bodies and things. They don't have love. They don't have love.
Yeah.
Don't expect them to change. They're there to play the role of the contrast here. And if we keep blaming them and expecting them to change and make amends for that, just focus on ourselves, realize where those dynamics are created within ourselves. And then from that place, we actually are able to change things. And it always leads us back to more compassion, not in a toxic way, but it's just going, all right, okay, right, what can I do about this? Let's create solutions rather than, giving our power away by going, you must change, I guess.
Yeah, the narcissist thing, I mean, they're just children who didn't get their needs met. They didn't get love, and now
they didn't trust anybody.
Exactly. Now they're hoovering the love out of everyone who's willing to, to kind of give their energy to them. And empaths are people who are trying to make everything okay in their environment because they don't feel good either. So it feels like you might have taken one road or the other, but it's amazing how so much blame got attached by narcissists, like those narcissists, and you're like, well, they're just like little damaged children who need a bit of love, and now they've kind of got a bit psychotic and like it's turned into something ugly,
Amazing how much a little bit of love can help, in that. But then it's just about managing your own triggers when those things come up as well, isn't it? It's there's a lot in that, in the spiritual community, or the spiritual sort of realm as it is at the moment, massively, but for people, how, because I know we know how to sort of structure this water and things like this, but could you just give a brief overview of how people can structure their own water as well, and put things like sulfur 30C and carb 30C as well into these things?
So you can take kind of normal remedies which are made from pharmacies, and they've done a kind of a whole process to create a diluted version of a substance, or you can use the water system, which is, you mentioned it earlier. Just say you get an old jam jar. I've actually got one here that I made yesterday. Or a glass with a bottom which hasn't got any markings on it.
It's like an old Nutella glass, that.
Could be. Yeah, it could be. And then so basically you can do a diagram. So you stick the piece of the glass on a piece of paper, you go round it with a pen, and then you draw a triangle in it, and it looks like that. Can you see? Is that clear? And that is your template for making a remedy. I've put in there a remedy for yesterday, which was yellow MM. That's part of a astrological kind of homeopathy taking group that I'm running. Like, with every 2 or 3 weeks, I post a remedy that everybody takes together. So it's a kind of group thing around the world. Bit of an experiment. But basically, you can take that, and then you can put calc carb 30C, and then you can put your glass with a bit of water on top of that template and put it in the sun or under a lamp and wait 20 minutes, and that becomes a remedy. It's you can do that anywhere, and then you can take it once a day for a few days and see how you feel. And just the awareness that it's not that you can cause yourself damage. It's just that if you take it too long and you don't need it, you'll start proving those symptoms. So just be aware of that. It has power. I mean, I do recommend going to homeopaths on some levels, because they can see things you can't see, and they can, it's good to work with somebody, but you can self-prescribe up to a certain point as well. And as I said, if you trust yourself and you're playing with it, then, it's your responsibility of how you, go about that. But I came across like, I live in Ireland, and really it's not very sunny here at all. Well, it's a little bit sunny now, but I was like thinking, how can I get more vitamin D into my life? And I thought, I'd just get bottles of like spring water or like filtered water, and I'm going to put them in the sun and get the sun's rays into the water, and then I'm going to drink it, right? And I thought, you know, things you can play with water on so many different levels, and so I've taken those water remedies in hospital. Like just say you're in hospital and you've had an injury, and you don't have any homeopathy with you. You can make yourself arnica. 200C would be like an acute version of arnica, using that method under the lamp in the hospital bed, and just kind of take that, you know, once every 2 or 3 hours to help your body deal with the trauma. And I've done that myself. You know, something happened and I ended up going to hospital. I was after my daughter was born, and I was sent to the hospital because I would never usually go. But I was like sitting there, and there I kind of making a remedy for myself, because, you know, and it worked. It was like I think I called my homeopath. She said, "Oh, you need to take a remedy for blood cleansing." She told me to take this remedy made out of, which was one of the snake remedies, which clean your blood. She said, "Yeah, just make that and you'll be fine." I was like, "Great." So, you know, it's very adaptable. Another thing you can do as well, because we are all water, is that if you're in bed at night and you feel like crap, you can imagine the words of a remedy, if you know which remedy to take, and just feel that, what kind of, just send the word up into your consciousness and let it kind of pour down over your body like kind of rain. And you can just do that for like 5 minutes, and that is the remedy, you know. So, you know, there's ways of using it. If you're in the middle of nowhere, or you suddenly remember, you go, "Oh, I really need that now." You know, a good remedy is nux vomica, because nux vomica is really good for drinking too much. It's good for liver cleansing. It's good for different kind of overeating issues, kind of when you feel sick, and it's good for migraines, all those things. So like sometimes if you've kind of found yourself in that situation, you can imagine this nux vomica, you know, in your body, or you can make a water remedy, and it changes it in 5 minutes. It's amazing. It really is good,
I
because
love
it
that.
works. Yeah, it works on the liver directly.
Interesting. Yeah, I think there's so much potential here as well for everything, because it is that thing, you know, that even doing that is like an external thing, isn't it? You know, where you structure the water. But then if you can just, that's why I mean, like putting my hand on my chest and saying I love you and things like this, you know, it's you know, it sounds so simple. It sounds too simple for it to work, but it does, you know. And it's like, then where if you're just visualizing, you know, I can visualize the circle with the triangle in, and then I can just put different things into there, because ultimately you're the one who's intentionally doing the thing with the water. You know, the words themselves are just symbols, you know, almost when you break it down
Yeah.
to it. They're symbols for something, but you're the one who's actually structuring the water through your intention, you know. And then that goes into epigenetics and all sorts of things, you know. Changing your thought changes everything, you know. You know, and there's so much of an expansion outside of that as well. But if you could just visualize things and then do it, you're literally a walking apothecary, you know. It's like an alchemist. You're it. You know, you've remembered that part about yourself, you know, so it doesn't matter what's happening out there. You can always restructure and reform as you're going through it, almost to the point where then it will become like your heart beating, I guess. In the future, I'm always going like, oh, what's the steps further down the way? You know, it's like, but people like you are an incredible bridge for other people of that remembrance. And like, I want to say, if this is resonating with you at home watching this or listening to this, like, get in touch with Sarah. You know, if you want to know more about this, like, you know, book a session with her, because it will expand not only for yourself, but as you remember these things, more and more will come online for the collective as well. And maybe Sarah is that beacon of light for you, so that you can then spread your light somewhere else and help everybody become more holistic within their awareness, if that makes sense. You know, but all I can say is that I'm super grateful that Sarah reached out to me, because, and I want to do another one of these podcasts because, you know, there's more to be said. There's so many parallels and things that my mind starts to go down, and I've written stuff down. But yeah, we'll get into that in another one. But for people who are wanting to get in contact with you, Sarah, what is it that you offer? Where can they find you, and what's the best way to get in touch with you, I guess?
Yeah, I have oh, just to say, we could talk a bit about the jab, by the way, and what we can do to clear that from our bodies. Homeopathically, there's loads of solutions.
A big thing, yeah.
That's a big thing. And you know what? Out of all the stuff I watched during COVID, no one mentioned homeopathy, and homeopathy has been dealing with that issue since the beginning of that whole program. And so there's a lot to be said on that, and people can really heal themselves if they ended up taking it without really wanting to take it and now realize that was something that they didn't want to do. So that's something we can talk about. Yeah, I've got a website. It's Deva Homeopathy. It's DEVAHOMEOPATHY. I can write it down at the end of this or whatever.
I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, exactly, in the comments. Yeah, and or I actually have an Etsy page. My Etsy page is quite handy because if you go into Starseed Homeopath on my Etsy page, you can find me, and I offer something which is which I've done to make it affordable for everybody. It's called Starseed SOS, and basically it's a homeopathic remedy. You just write me an email saying this is what's happening to me, and then I send you the remedy and a little bit explanation of why it's come up for you, and that's the cheapest kind of version of having a session. And I wanted to do that because you know to make it affordable for everybody and everybody can get access to it. And then there are kind of more things to choose from. You can have a session. You can just like like combination remedy. I do kind of a few different things. So yeah.
Nice.
And if anybody's interested, well, wanting to join I've got a Telegram group, which is a remedy taking Telegram group, and so the idea was to all take remedies together, which in alignment with astrology. That's been really powerful because people who are working with energy and healing and stuff, we can all take remedies in alignment, and that kind of is like a group thing, and that's quite fun.
Yeah, I think it's really fun and it's really powerful as well. It's like massive. Let me just check the connection. Oh, I'm still there. That's all right. Oh no, 111. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, it's yeah. Well, thank you very much, Sarah, for the work that you've helped me to clear within my system and continue to help me clear through my system, and my daughter as well. And my dad. It's like, yeah, the potential of these things are absolutely massive, and I think it's something that is really going to help empower people going forward. Especially with things like the jab, because so many people reach out. What can I do? What can I do? And there's all these physical things, but ultimately, yeah, I think if there's a protocol there for people so that they're able to clear that fear from their system. In essence, that's the energy, the frequency of what it is fear. Then they're going to be so much stronger on the other side of it. And the more people that share that, I can just see it tangenting out in all ways, this deeper awareness of things, So thank you for the work that you're doing. That's it, first and foremost.
I just want to say, homeopaths out there, there's plenty brilliant ones, as well as myself, obviously. But, it's yeah, that you might have someone locally as well that you want to connect and work with. Obviously, I'll be very happy to help you. I'm just kind of saying that because I don't want to kind of with humility. There's this work is being done by a huge body of people, and every homeopath has their different slant. We've got our different personalities, and so it's do you connect with this person's personality, that person's personality? So whatever works for you. But yeah, be very happy to talk about the jab because that's an issue that a lot of people have, and I said it's very scary, and a lot of people have regrets about it. So there are ways of dealing with that might really help a lot of people. So I'd love to chat about that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, good. Right. Well, yeah. We'll save it for the next one anyway, if that's all right. You know, I think it's nice to yeah, spread these things out.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. It's probably given people quite a lot to take in as well. You know, it's like for me, definitely, it was that sort of like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hang on a minute, I need to sit with this for a little bit. You know, it's that feeling of empowerment coming back again. You know, but yeah, Ace, we'll end it there. Thank you very much, Sarah. And yeah, look out for the next one, guys. And like, share, comment, share this around, you know, share this with people as well who you think would benefit from this knowledge as well. You know, if it's going to ease somebody's fear, that's kind of why we're all here collectively, because we're just getting people out of that place again and pulling them into an empowered place, you know, where they feel they can do something about it. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody. And yeah. See you on the other side. All right. Any other things you'd like to say, Sarah?
Just want to say thank you to you because, you know, the reason why I'm here, because I was listening to you and with all your words straight from the heart, with your honesty and your, you know, your groundedness and all your inspirations that I was listening to, thinking, this guy, I love what he's saying. So thank you for all that you do and for giving me this platform to talk about what I love as well. So brilliant. So great connecting with you.
Nice. Yeah, me too, mate. It's that real sort of soul remembrance, isn't it? You know, just like I know this person. I know this person. There's something very familiar here. She's like a child too. That's it. You know, that's it. Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. All right. Anyway, toodaloo, everybody. Ta-ta. Um, there we go. Technology.